What do you think you do with this button right here, Aaron?
I think you're going to create an app.
So let's just say we want to use an RSS feed. We just type in RSS, and it's like they already have a built-in module for that.
Welcome to the Rosie Bites podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome. In this episode, I'm super excited to have my friend and colleague, Aaron Pickrell, here with me to talk about how we can leverage AI and automation to create content completely from scratch and fully automate the process from end to end to publish it on social media and even audio podcasts. So check it out. This we were talking about earlier this week. We had talked about, different ways of doing automation. And, so I kind of dabbled with and experimented with make.com to come up with two different variations of AI created content that I pretty much don't have to do anything except tell it what I want it to pull data from. So the first one would be social media content automation. And the premise behind this would be that you are going to take a look at content maybe from an RSS feed.
Yep.
And so one of the things that I found was there's a site called rss.app. And
Okay.
you can, and they have some curated RSS feeds based on different topics, or you can just go into their search box and type in a topic, and it will actually generate an RSS feed for you.
Okay.
And so then,
Wow.
and it's not a completely free service. Like you do get a certain amount of feeds free, but then if you want to have like the, extensive lists, you would have to sign up for a subscription of some sort. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show in here does require some level of subscriptions, whether it's to OpenAI or Anthropic.
Hey, you got to pay to get some of this stuff. I mean, this is, I'm kind of over the whole like everything being free because then they're just stealing your data. And, at least at this point, that they're monetizing in a way that doesn't rely on them, violating your privacy.
Totally. So yeah, this is make.com. If you're not familiar with it, it's a super simple, if I just come out to my main menu here, I can just show you how easy this is to use. What do you think you do with this button right here, Aaron?
I think you're going to create an app.
So let's just say we want to use an RSS feed. We just type in RSS, and it's like they already have a built-in module for that. And so you simply just select that, and that's now going to be your first module to your automation workflow.
Okay.
And so from here, you would just paste in the URL for whatever RSS feed you're going to pull from.
Yep.
And then you can define how many items you want to pull back from that feed.
I see.
And so rather than building this out from scratch, what I'll do is switch over to the one that I already have. And I'll say too that this make.com environment that I'm in, completely free. I'm not paying anything for this right now. And you can see
wow.
I have a bunch of different workflows that I've set up here. But if we go into this one here that I've already pre-built, you can see what I'm doing is I'm coming in and I've already defined this RSS feed. And like I said, I created this feed by going to rss.app. I signed up for a free account and I just said, create me a feed based on e-commerce trends.
Okay.
And it gave me back this XML URL link here. So I put this in here and how many items I want to pull back, I just have it set to 1. The next step in this process is I want to be able to download the HTML content of that article, the one that I picked, for example. And once it downloads all of the HTML, I then will convert the HTML into text. So basically just stripping all those HTML tags out. So all you're left with now is the text of the article.
I see.
And so this step right here is pretty quick. But then what we're going to do is we're going to take that text of the article and send it to Anthropic, and it's going to use Claude to summarize the article for me.
Did you choose Anthropic over ChatGPT for a reason?
No particular reason.
Or any other LLM?
I like to mix up. You could use Perplexity, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Anthropic.
Yeah.
Make.com probably has a wide variety of different things that you can use. I'm just using the ones that I typically, experiment with from data.
Yeah. Absolutely. I use Anthropic a lot for code. That's why I was asking you. I didn't know if it had some special feature that, lended itself to better flow creation or summarization.
Nope, I chose this one just to mix it up a little bit. I do have other flows where I use Perplexity, like I mentioned, but
Okay.
just I went with Anthropic just for trying something different.
Yeah. Cool.
So once it's summarized, basically you can see what I'm doing here is I'm breaking off into a router, and these are all modules in Make. All these little circles you see here, and this router can have an infinite number of branches to it. But the first branch is I'm using OpenAI to take the summary from Anthropic and then create a Facebook post based off of that summary. And so each of these circles, like if you come in, what's really cool about it is if I'll just show you how this works a little bit. So if I right click on here and say, choose where to start, and that's going to bring back a list of all of the different articles that this RSS feed has behind it. So I'll just pick this one here, protecting e-commerce merchants from fraud.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and click run once.
Oh, wow.
And you'll see that it got the article, downloaded the HTML. It then converted the HTML into text, summarized it through Anthropic. Then it went through the branches of my router to create a Facebook post and then post to my Facebook page. It's also going to go through and create an Instagram post and use DALL-E 3 to create an image for my post.
Wow.
And then it posts to my Instagram feed. And I'll show you that those actually posted. But what I think is really cool is each step of the way here, you can kind of look and see the data under the covers, what these different modules pull back.
Yeah.
And so, you can see like it's got the title of the article, description, the URL. Then this HTML module is basically using that URL, and it's pulling back the data. So the output is going to be all this HTML from that page.
Yep.
Then when you come to the HTML to text, what that's going to do is it's going to read all of that data from this module, and it's going to convert it all into text instead of all the HTML tags. So then that gets sent to Anthropic, and Anthropic processes all that data. And then it basically will spit out the summary that you're going to use with OpenAI to then summarize and create posts for Facebook and Instagram. And, so if you come under the module itself, you can see there's different things here. Like, for example, my OpenAI, it's using a connection to my actual OpenAI account. And so this will obviously be your API key for OpenAI. You would plug this in here. And then what we're doing is we're saying, I want to use the GPT-4o model.
Yep.
You could click the drop down here and see a variety of different models to choose from. And then the first message we want to do is in the role of user. And you can see the prompt I created here. You're a social media expert, and your job is to write engaging posts for Facebook. And what's really cool about the way this tool works is you can call out variables, and you can see when I hover over this text response, it's actually making the Anthropic module kind of pulse.
Right.
So that's where it's actually getting the data from. And when you click on this, you can see all of your modules, and you can literally drag and drop over any element from any of these modules as the variable in your prompt.
Oh, wow. So dates and titles and like in this article about whatever you can. Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah. So, and it's literally all the way from the beginning of your flow. So this is the RSS feed. This is the HTML download. This is the converting to text. And then this is the Anthropic summarization. Each of these modules all have those types of things. And so, for example, under my Facebook page, this is where I'm connecting to my actual Facebook page. I'm telling it what page under my profile I want to post to. And then under the message, this is where I'm taking the summary that OpenAI, sorry, not the summary. I'm taking the post that OpenAI created. And you can see it even put emojis in here like attention e-commerce pros. And that's going to be the content of my post. And then like on Facebook, a lot of times you want to also post the URL to the article that you're referencing. And so you can easily just pull that from the RSS module at the very beginning, because that's where your source URL came from. And so if we go over to my page, you'll see that there's no posts here. And if I go ahead and refresh, you'll see that I now have
Wow.
a post,
There it is.
which I didn't even have to. I mean, I'm walking through this obviously, but
Right.
if you have this running,
Yeah.
just think about it. If you have this running on an RSS feed that's like constantly being updated,
Yeah.
you can schedule these workflows and just leave them running 24/7 and
Yeah.
essentially have a completely AI generated content automation workflow that
Right.
posts to all of your different socials.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the ability to come in and create unique agents. That's what I call these, would be the agents.
Mm-hmm.
Creating these unique agents to come in and personalize what it's going to do based on the social platform that you're going to be
Right.
posting to is pretty cool to me.
I was going to ask you a question about that. Like, you have Anthropic, which is the LLM, large language model, that's doing your summarization in that step, and then you're routing it to another set of OpenAI LLMs for the purpose of creating those posts. So, question number one is, was that just to kind of mix it up and have two different LLMs in the same flow, or could you have done it with both
You you
models?
you could do everything with OpenAI if you wanted to. You could probably do everything with Anthropic. It's
Okay,
just I think OpenAI does a pretty good job of understanding, for example, like what a Facebook post
I
structure is
see.
like,
I see.
what an Instagram post structure would be like,
Okay.
LinkedIn, stuff like that.
And now, how did you get it? So it created a post. Now, what is a post? What is it, like just data elements? Like, what were the outputs of that when it created a post?
Yeah, so what you can do is you can go, for example, to this Facebook post module.
Hmm.
And, I showed you what the prompt was that I used. I was basically telling it to you're a social media expert
Yep.
in Facebook, create a post. I also gave it restrictions on like length of characters and stuff like that. Um, and then the output of it is what's under these little bubbles above each of the modules. So you can see like the input was, and then it gives you all this information. And then the output is this. And so you can now see that that's the post that it created.
But there was also an image. Did that get pulled automatically from the URL that you sent over?
Yeah. So on Facebook,
Oh,
when you post URLs, it will
hmm.
also give you like the thumbnail for that
Okay.
article.
I didn't know if you curated that, or if you had the opportunity to manipulate that. I don't see where the URL is in this output that's going over to Facebook.
It's under the Facebook module. So if I go into the Facebook module,
Ah,
this is
I
where you're
got it from the
defining.
orange stuff, which was
Yeah.
from the RSS feed. Got it.
Yep. Yeah. So OpenAI is doing the creation
Wow.
of the text version of the post.
Unreal.
We're then taking the output from that and using it under the Facebook module for the
Yep.
content of our post. And then the link of the post is coming from the original RSS feed.
Wow. So I'm imagining a situation where us as like a product company and having a bunch of product managers maybe writing a lot of blog articles, we could have like company-wide automation that goes through those blog posts and then posts it out to our company social.
Yep.
You know, check out what, you know, Brian Rossi just wrote on Medium, or wherever it is that you're posting your blog post. It can essentially summarize it, promote it, and it's not synthetic content, and it's not just running out there against random stuff on the web. It's like
Right.
more purpose driven use case for just automation, right? Like, because that just cuts down on the amount of promotion stuff that we're doing. Basically, the
For
the
sure.
hard work was writing the article. You're coming up with the concepts, or
Right.
interviewing somebody. Now you have this way to like blast it out,
Yeah,
which is really cool.
and like I said too, like right here, I can literally just right click on the router and add another route, and
Yeah.
then down here, I could pick like I don't know, LinkedIn, and
Hmm.
so Make has a module for LinkedIn, and so now I
Yeah.
could create
Bingo.
another workflow where an OpenAI agent writes a LinkedIn post for this particular
Wow.
automation, and so if we look at the Instagram. But again, that one I'm using DALL-E to generate an image, and
Oh, okay.
it's generating an image. So if I click
That'll
here
be interesting.
on this module, I have here create an appropriate image for this Instagram post, and then it's using the content, you can't see it here because it's underneath this window, but this is the content coming from the agent that created the summary for Instagram.
Yep.
And I'm kind of giving it, I find that it's not really honoring this too much, but I'm telling it I don't want like any text in the image under any circumstances, zero exceptions. Do not include any letters, words, or sentences. And then I'm kind of giving it some aspect ratio and image quality settings here. So if we go to Instagram, you'll see I have no posts here. And if I refresh, I now have a post. So if I open this up, you see it's like a shield looking under a magnifying glass. It did create some text in here, pattern detection.
At least it was spelled right. A lot of times it's just like random letters.
But I mean, dude, seriously. Incredible. I mean, all I did was tell it to look at an RSS feed and go through and create social posts.
Yeah.
So, and again, this was just a one-off example.
Oh yeah, I could see the power here. I mean,
what you could do here is you could actually tell it, choose where to start. And you could say from now on. And so now anytime a new article posts to this RSS feed,
it's just looking for it all the time. And then down here in Make, you can actually specify an interval of time that you want this automation workflow to run. So you can just toggle this on and then tell it, regular intervals, or you can define, once a day, every day, days of the week. Lots of granularity. So you don't have to use the social media platform scheduling feature. You can just schedule your own, whatever cadence, so that it looks more natural. It doesn't look like it's it would look weird if you popped out an Instagram post like every 5 minutes, right?
No, maybe you do like 2 or 3 a day, like one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one at night.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I like about this model here using Make, and there are other platforms out there, like N8N is another one.
Right. It reminds me of Zapier. Is Zapier another?
Oh, yeah.
Would you
Zapier
consider that?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. But what I like about this is, as you can see, all of this automation is completely contained within this one canvas that you're working in. So you don't have multiple tools that you have to go plug into. The only, I would say, difficulty to it is you have to understand kind of how you link those different elements from the different modules into other modules as you're going along.
Right.
How I showed you, like the URL for the Facebook post was coming from the RSS feed.
Yep.
Figuring out all those things and like also connecting to all of your different systems, whether it's OpenAI, Anthropic, Facebook, or Instagram, that can be a little tricky, but a lot of it's just like for Facebook, it'll pop up a dialogue and say, do you want to authenticate into your Facebook and give Make permission? You say yes, and then boom, your connection's created. With OpenAI, it's just putting in your API key. Instagram, I did find with Make, your Instagram has to be a professional account. It can't just be a personal account. Otherwise, this module doesn't seem to work. So it's got to be Instagram for business, because that's what this module is.
I see.
And I converted my Instagram account to professional for free. Like there was no, I just literally clicked a toggle and it said, okay, you're now a professional.
Right.
I'm a professional and I have almost no posts on
the thing I'm kind of also seeing here is that this is a cool abstraction, right? The canvas, but you can back up another layer of abstraction and just kind of like pseudocode your whole life, right? On a whiteboard, with your team. You could say, what are the things that we're trying to, forgetting like what the capabilities of each of these nodes are for just a minute, and just starting with the flows, the goals. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we could, insert automation flow, and then you just kind of keep walking down and you create a backlog of those things. You go through each one, you start to define it more. You can use LLMs to even help you structure that. And then once you have like a prescriptive set of steps for each one of those, then it's just a matter of coming in here and just boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden you have your whole life pretty much automated.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. So I want to show you the other scenario that I've been working on. And I will say there's templates available in make.com. There's also lots of great content creators out there on YouTube that specialize in coming up with make workflows.
Cool.
What's really cool about it is you can actually take a workflow that you've created and you can export it to a blueprint. And then you can make that blueprint available to other people to import.
Oh, wow.
And the nice thing about it is that blueprint file is actually it's a JSON file. So you can actually see. You can, yeah.
You could just put it in your...
but yeah, you could create a complete side hustle business just building automations and selling workflows.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is some of the inspiration for these definitely come from seeing, people that are into this space as well, like different ideas that they've come up with. But you can see like the actual building blocks of creating these automations. They're fairly self-explanatory if you're familiar with like the pieces of the puzzle that you're going to need to create the workflow that you want to create, right?
Right.
Like obviously you need to get an article from somewhere.
Yep.
So where do you get an article? Well, this workflow here could be as easy as just you give it a URL as the starting point of this workflow. And then it'll only use that URL as the source. So that would be like taking out the RSS part of it. But obviously, that's a much more manual process because you would have to come in here all the time and put in a new URL. So using RSS feeds, that's kind of like the universal way of getting constantly updated and refreshed data. So
it's a set and forget versus a curation, right? Like if I wanted to, if I'm browsing the web and I want, hey, I just read an amazing article that I'm personally very interested in, I can come in here, drop that article URL in, maybe come over and even modify my my post prompt to speak to some aspect of it. Maybe it's just even a temporary one. It would be cool to have a version of this that's just running in the background, set and forget, and then another version that lets you just, kind of hand pick things that but it's still an automation. It's still going through and taking that URL and running it through, but it's to your point, it requires one-off effort.
Yeah.
But I can see where that would be valuable from time to time.
So check this one out. Think of podcasting. So I have this spreadsheet in Google Sheets here, and I have a couple columns, an idea, a description of the article or the idea, a title, content, a URL, and then a publish column. So let's say I want to curate a list of articles from an RSS feed. So for example, this e-commerce RSS feed. And I want to create podcasts out of that content without me actually having to create a podcast.
Right.
So if I come over underneath my scenarios, I'm going to discard changes here and go under podcast automation. I just finished building this up. So if I come under generate podcast ideas, this is going to do similar workflow to what I just showed with the social posts. But it's going to read the article, convert it to text. Then I'm going to use OpenAI to create a unique title. I'm going to create a unique description. I'm going to have it write a podcast script, and then I'm going to have it post that idea to my Google worksheet over here.
Where are you putting the script?
The script, right? So in this module here where it says write podcast, the prompt for this is write a podcast script based on the text coming from that text module. The script should be a third-person monologue presented in a news-style format. Keep it concise with a maximum of 3 sentences, etc. And then I'm giving it the article's title and description down here as a second message. So that script and all of the other items that OpenAI generates are going to be posted into my spreadsheet over here.
Oh, the whole script will be in the spreadsheet.
Right. So, so we'll do a similar thing. Choose where to start. Now, this one, too, you could also have this running on a schedule. You could have it from now on, so it would do articles just as they come in.
Right.
But so if I pick, I don't know, Black Friday highlights a growing cross-border economy. So I'll pick that one here. I'll click to run this.
Wow.
And you'll see
It's fast.
It's pretty quick. It's writing my podcast script now.
Takes a minute. Boom.
Post to my Google worksheet. So now I have the original idea, which is the title from the original article, a description of that from the article itself, then the unique title that OpenAI created. So it's not the same as this one over here in column A. And then I have my script, which is, this is Brian with the e-commerce news you can use podcast, the recent and so it's taking the text from that actual article and then summarizing it to be unique. And it's
I didn't see that content column. That's where it was going. I didn't see that earlier.
Yeah. And then it's providing the URL and then like this publish box.
Okay.
So I have an extension connected in through Google Sheets for make.com that gives make.com permissions to talk to my Google Sheets. Okay. And essentially what that does is it allows me to create a webhook. And so if I come back over to my scenarios and I go under podcast automation and I go to publishing AI podcasts, I have a workflow here.
There it is.
I have a workflow here where this is going to wait for the webhook. And the webhook is set up. Like if I click in here, you'll see that there's a URL here. This is a unique URL for my webhook that is connected into my sheet.
Okay.
Then I have a filter in here that's basically verifying that the data that I want to make sure exists in my Google Sheet actually exists before it progresses to the next step. And then what I'm doing is I'm using the 11 Labs module and my professionally cloned voice on 11 Labs to create an audio file of the script that OpenAI wrote from the article. And then I'm having it upload that audio file to my SoundCloud account.
No, I got to see this.
So if I go ahead and say run once here and say wait for new data.
Oh, okay. And so you got to go over there and check the checkbox now, right?
So this webhook is basically going to wait to get an update from the spreadsheet. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to click on this publish box, and you'll see that webhook just received
already.
And now 11 Labs.
It already went through 11 Labs. Oh, it was a pretty short podcast.
Yeah. So then you come over here and you refresh this link. Black Friday unveils expanding potential in cross-border e-commerce.
Oh my gosh.
This is Brian with e-commerce news you can use podcast. The recent Black Friday and Cyber Monday witnessed a substantial growth in cross-border e-commerce as consumer spending soared to $41.1 billion over 5 days, driven by tech-savvy shoppers seeking global deals and diverse products. Key players like Stripe and Shopify have reported notable increases in cross-border transactions, highlighting this as a crucial opportunity for retailers to expand their international reach.
It did it like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it made I mean, I know it was a short podcast, but it wasn't so short that it should have taken 5 seconds.
Right.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Okay, so walk me through what's paid and what's not paid. Like this kind of, I don't think everybody knows what 11 Labs is. I think they just got a pretty good demo of 11 Labs of what it's capable of. But 11 Labs is paid, right?
11 Labs is paid. The base membership, at least the last time I checked, was I think around $5 a month. To have a professional clone of your voice done, that's a little bit more involved in a slightly higher price tier, but you get quite a bit of usage and credits out of that particular subscription.
Is that a service?
So what I had to do was I had to take, and like you being a content creator, it wasn't very difficult to find enough audio of myself, but you basically have to provide around 2 hours of audio of you talking. And then what happens is you upload that audio to 11 Labs. And then I think it took almost a day, but at the end of the day, like the next morning, I logged into my account and I actually had my own AI model of my voice that I could use in 11 Labs to,
Wow.
basically say anything I want it to say. And what's
So
really
that's automated, probably. It wasn't humans going in
right,
and
right.
manually kind of making sure that. Well, that's even more impressive, though.
Well, and what's cool about it too is if I don't know about you or I, but if we feel like we actually have voices that other people might want to use,
Yeah.
you can actually put your voice out on like a marketplace of voices at
Wow.
11 Labs, and people can use your voice, and I believe you can monetize that.
For like
Uh,
audiobooks
yeah,
or
exactly,
advertisements or
exactly.
podcasts. That's incredible.
So
I
yeah,
was listening to one of my favorite podcasts this morning, and he unveiled that it's all 11 Labs. It's all
yep,
just he's like I'm sure he said it a long time ago in a previous episode or something, but he mentioned it, and I was like, you know, that's incredible because I'm still getting tons of value. I don't care. I would prefer that the lilting wasn't as repetitive, and I'm sure he probably didn't do the professional, the voice patterning or whatever, or he could do a better job of it. But that's just that to me, that's a nit, right? Like that's something. This is so
yeah,
good. You can clearly see that it's going to get better, and it's going to get almost to the point where it's. I mean, I might not have known that that was not you. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
Like, you could
exactly.
have said that to me, and I would have been like, I mean, I know you, and I know you probably would be likely to do something like that. But if anyone else had sent it to me,
But
um,
I mean, if you think about it too, like j- this whole era of like faceless YouTube channel content, and it's
oh
actually
yeah,
content that's monetizable, and like
yeah,
being able to potentially load in like 50 articles from a particular curated list of articles, and
yeah,
then setting up a schedule where like maybe every day you just create like a quick 60-second podcast of like
yeah,
a newsreel of some sort based
yeah,
on that data, and you're not actually doing anything.
right. You
It's
know,
it's pretty crazy.
I can't believe we haven't seen an explosion of content and content creators like an exponential increase of like what it was. I know it's been increasing over time, right? Like since socials come out, you've seen this user generated content and what we used to call UGC, but I guess people would just call it content or videos or whatever. But I can't believe it hasn't just exploded. And maybe it's just so big that you can't see the explosion.
Hmm.
It's like if you were in the ocean and the water tripled all overnight, you wouldn't know because it's so big.
Right,
And
right.
it's like, how do you know? Uh,
Yeah. So back to your original question though. So SoundCloud, I do have a subscription for.
okay.
But the other nice thing about these subscriptions too is that I believe all of them are you have the ability to do them monthly. So if you decide that this isn't something you want to
Yeah.
pursue further, you can just cancel your monthly membership, and you get that
Yeah.
money back to use on a different service. And I find that a lot of these content creators that are using AI services, just
Hmm.
for the sake of creating content, they'll sign up for the 1 month membership, and then if they don't choose to use that service anymore, they'll just
Yeah.
they'll cancel the membership and move on to the next thing that they want to review. Or uh,
Yeah.
so SoundCloud has a membership. OpenAI, to use their API, you do have to be a pro member.
Hmm.
Not the new pro membership that they just released, which is $200
Yeah.
a month.
$200. I saw that. Yeah.
I see things all the time about 10x this, 10x that. I'm like, yeah, but let's not 10x the subscription cost. uh, um,
Yeah.
so
What?
OpenAI, you have a subscription that's a monthly subscription. Anthropic. The nice thing about things like Anthropic and Perplexity, though, is you can actually go in and just purchase, like, say, for example, $5 worth of credits. And those
Hmm.
credits can be used with their APIs. So you're not having to like do like this big commitment to a monthly membership. You can just purchase credits to put in your free account, and then
Right.
you're able to use the API. And when that gets expended, you'll get a warning that you've exceeded your quota, and you can
Yeah.
basically top up or refresh your credits as needed.
Wow.
And make.com, I don't have a paid subscription for that. So that is what I just showed you is like for free.
Wow. And what are the limitations? Is it can you still run it asynchronously with a free account?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Like that podcast workflow, I actually went in and turned on the post to the podcast part of the automation and
Hmm.
had it set to wait for new data. And then I went through the workflow of having the podcast data created and put into my Google Sheet. And then when I clicked on publish, it just showed up on my SoundCloud here
Mm.
with a new podcast. So you can have that running, but also be running the content creation part of it as well.
Right.
Or I should say the data creation part of it as well. So yeah, and in Make, I don't know if you remember seeing, but there was like little toggle switches to turn on your workflows or turn them off.
Hmm.
So it gives you a nice dashboard where you can turn things on, turn things off. And again, for me, the cool thing about that is it's all inside of a single UI where
Yeah.
you're able to plug into all of these different services. And as you mentioned, there are other tools out there like Zapier and N8N and stuff like that. But I just find make.com to be super dumb simple. Like big, huge plus sign. What do I do with this? Add something. What do I want
No,
to add? Boom.
let me ask you this. Let's take it back even another level of potential here. Like, can you use automation to create automations? Can I use ChatGPT, for example, to write the JSON object that gets ingested into make.com, or does make.com have a natural language interface that allows you to start to spit out all the bubbles that you need? I'm kind of curious if we can even simplify this further. Have you explored anything like that?
All right. So if we come back over into scenarios and say create a scenario, there's this little AI beta down here in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So if I click on this, it's just going to come up and it gives you starters. So you have build a scenario, find templates, whatever. So I could just say create a simple automation for what? What do you want to do?
Mm. Um, let's think. Let's create an automation that goes out to Twitter or X and looks for trends, looks for trending hashtags or something, and then writes a blog about like the latest hot things that are going on in Twitter in a specific, hashtag.
Okay, so let's see. Completely untested demo here.
Yeah.
We're like breaking all
On the
demo
fly.
protocol. All
Yeah.
protocol is thrown out the window here. So let's see what it does. So it's going to query the agent. It's preparing a blueprint. I'm actually interested to see what it does here.
X
Okay.
formerly. I love how it'll never say just X.
Yeah. So it says fetches trending articles from Twitter, analyzes the articles for key topics and insights, drafts a blog post based on the analysis.
Bingo. That's exactly what I was saying.
So just like that, dude, it was like done.
Wow. That's incredible. And of course, you got to hook up your accounts.
Yeah. So,
or maybe not, because that's just going out to public Twitter.
My thought would be that it's going to go out here. Oh, see, you do have to have a connection to X, but
okay.
And I don't have mine authenticated right now, but you would set up your connection. But let's just throw out the fact that this isn't completely functioning right out of the gate.
Yeah. No, I just the demo to me was the fact that you could speak to this thing in natural language, and then it basically put together the blueprint of a of a pretty simple but powerful flow.
Well, and let's see if it can do this. I'd like to add the ability to upload the contents of the blog to a Google Sheet. See if it can intelligently modify the blueprint to...
Interesting. Oh, I bet it will. Yeah. Or it's probably behind that. Yep. So cool.
So yeah. And then I can say,
branch it, have it have branches
to also upload to my Google Drive.
Yeah. and send me an email or, blast out something through MailChimp, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let my whole newsletter audience know about my new blog post.
Yep.
Dude, I know what I'm going to be doing this weekend.
So yeah, I've added a module to your scenario to upload blog content to Google Drive. So you can see, just put that in there. Boom. And then, like I said, what's really sweet about this, and you pointed out the fact that you could actually kind of use this as a side hustle. You can now take your blueprint once you've confirmed that it works, export that blueprint, post your JSON files on a system that requires, purchasing and authentication type stuff.
Yep.
Maybe just require an email address, and then that way you get like a marketing lead based on an email address. So you could even offer them
for great idea.
You could offer them for free,
Wow.
or maybe ask for like a donation if they find it useful or something.
Dude, let's keep this going. In our next chat, I have a new tool that I wanted to show you. I think you probably use Cursor. I know you use Bolt.
Yep.
So when you shot me over that Bolt link, I kind of played around with creating a whole website, and then I went and found Cursor.
Yep.
Which is another IDE that allowed me to basically just build out the type of website you just described. Like if we wanted to create a website that just gathered email addresses and offered, a number of things, right? Like you sign up for the newsletter, you're going to get these curated blog posts, these regular blog posts. You're also going to get access to, these automations, these blueprints, whatever, just keep on adding things. But the website itself, creating this killer website, like just typing in a prompt and boom, it's created all this different, these folders, all those config files, all my environment variable files. Like as a developer, this is just unbelievable to me. I mean, it's really unbelievable.
I recently spoke on a different podcast this week, actually, about the power of AI and how obviously the fear that people have is that it's just going to take over the world and it's going to completely render us useless with no creativity.
Yeah.
I choose to view it more as an augmentation to our natural creativity. And so if I have an idea of something that I want to build or create, I may not necessarily possess all the tools in the toolbox to be able to build that thing. But I have the idea, and I would love nothing more than to see that idea come to fruition. Well, with AI, things like Cursor and Bolt, I'm now able to come in and give it a clear picture and definition of what it is I'm looking for. And it builds it for me. And I can now see it actually become something rather than just being stuck in the cobwebs of my brain.
Well, this could be a teaser for our next talk.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a killer topic. I'd love to go through and show you some of the things I've created, and we can maybe share like things you've gone through and some learnings. I can't wait to show you something in particular that I'm pretty excited about. I'll keep it secret until then.
Ooh, the suspense.
Ooh. All right, buddy. It was good talking to you, man.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Have a good weekend.
You too. See ya.